Let's go. We made it.
We made it to Black Rock City.
More importantly, actually, no, maybe that's really important, but episode 10.
Episode 10.
10
We're
double
finally
digits.
here.
Unreal.
Amazing.
We had to definitely persist. I think like a rocket taking off. You've just got to make the effort in the early days, and it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But well done, Boo. I'm really proud of us.
Proud of us.
And thank you if you're
It
listening.
has been a journey.
Yeah, definitely has.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, whether you've been from episode 1, you've just jumped in, you've randomly seen this pop up in your newsfeed. I'm Daniel.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm also known as Mumba, which is why this show is called the Mumba and Maddie Show. At least every week we've been trying.
Yeah,
We have been committing to recapping, I guess, like 2 or 3 areas that have, impacted or moved us
Highlighted throughout the week.
from our travels. And if you haven't seen from recent episodes, we've been going around North America in a van. And this is actually the first time, ironically, recording in a van.
Yeah.
It'll be a really beautiful way to bring it in.
Yeah.
It's also been my birthday, and we are also in queue where?
To Burning Man.
Amazing.
In Nevada.
You might see on the peripheral of the widescreen shots a lot of sand or dust and other vehicles that are queuing up for us.
We're currently in the line.
I feel the kind of apprehension I have, the pre-excitement of like Falls and Splendor, like the Australian festivals or like other bush stuffs. But this is of another scale, isn't it?
This is huge.
What are we talking?
Yeah. It's just you can't imagine the scale of it until you're really here.
Yeah. How many people?
I'm not sure on the exact number, but I think around 60,000.
Range 60 to 7. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Over about a 9-10 day period.
Yeah.
Temporary village or community set up in the middle of the desert in Nevada.
Yeah.
Black Rock City. Here we go.
Pretty amazing.
So we thought before we dive deep.
Next week we'll do the recap on Black Rock, on Burning Man.
We'll let you know exactly. This isn't a Burning Man special. This is literally just a recap of the week that was. But before we get diluted in dust and get schmattered with the experience here, we I thought we'd wind things back to where we were since we left you in New York in Central Park. Latest episode.
Yep.
Where do we go from New York and how do we get to where we are?
We flew back to Calgary and then we have been like full burning prep mode.
Oh, yeah.
And we were feeling overwhelmed because there was a lot to do.
Yeah.
And we obviously got there because we're here.
We're here right now. This is proof. This
With
is
a few
evidence of it.
tears in between.
Yep.
We made it.
Yeah. It's a testing period.
It was. There is a lot to do we're here for 9 days and you have to be self-reliant. So as you can imagine, there's just, a lot to organize. Food especially, bikes, all the emergency gear, you name it.
You got it?
But we got there.
We did. A couple of bruises.
Yeah.
Couple along the way. We've had a chance to stew over. I think why this week was a bit of a other than the logistics and getting things done. I think on just a personal front.
Yeah.
We both felt a lot.
It's a big week.
Reflected a lot, and just to bring you up to speed, it as of tomorrow marks 5 months since we jumped on a plane.
Yeah, right.
26th of March, and today is the 25th of August, so we're nearly there. 5 months since we've been overseas. And for me, this is now officially the longest I've been overseas for. I know you've done a little bit of a longer stint than this.
Yeah.
But if there's a crossover between both of those periods, were you feeling a bit of homesickness when you first did your 6 months in Canada about 10 years ago? What was that looking like for you?
I think, towards the end I definitely was. Yeah. Yeah. We have both been feeling a little bit homesick. This time of year is particularly family-centric, with it being your birthday, your mum's birthday, my birthday, your dad's anniversary. Yeah. Just a lot of times where we're normally with our family.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay because that was one of the drawbacks we accepted of being able to do a year like this.
Yeah.
You can't have the sun without the rain, and that's what the rain looks like. And we have the luxury of FaceTime and
the technology.
being able to connect. And in the last 2 days, like we've spoken to both sides of our parents and our family, and we're always a message away or a video update away of what's going on. So we can see our beloved pets at home or any of the madness that's going on. But there's definitely something to be said when, like we've shared in previous podcasts, like, we have a very insular bubble and 98.5% of our interactions are with each other.
Yeah.
With the other being for catch ups with, friends. Like we got to see a beautiful friend of ours called Molly in New York. That was the first time we really interacted with someone that knew us before this trip.
Yeah, in a long time.
You know, connected trusted house sitters. They are wonderful hosts that we've had so far. But you meet them and then you move on. And
it's like these lots of transient social interactions, but not your deep and meaningful ones, which I think we both really value and crave at times.
And so I think we're going to get this, I agree, I think we're going to get this middle ground here at Burning Man where unlike other, you know, whether you've been to a music festival or an extended trip, and, you know, this one isn't called a festival, just to be clear. I want to honor what it's recognized as. But it is a balance where I think for 10 days or 9 days in a camp, we're with Playa Agora. That's right, Maddie?
Playa Agora.
And so we're going to now be with a unit of about 20 to 30 beautiful souls that have all, you know, been vetted for having a similar vibe or a similar energy. And I'd like to think we probably will, you know, get to know them over a slightly longer period. It might be through short interactions as we're moving in and out of the campsite and everyone's going to be exploring and doing their own thing, I'm sure. But I do like the idea of being grounded in one place with a set of people who are at least familiar to you and on the same page before we break out on the other end and keep doing our thing. So that might be a nice little reprieve anyway with familiarity. Yeah. Speaking of creature comforts and things that are familiar to us, we've jumped back into the US for the 4th time since we've been traveling. But this was the first time I think in which we actually weren't just in transit on our way out of LA or out of Dallas, or I guess New York was a brief extended stay, but we have had to immerse ourselves and expose ourselves or confront a bit of US consumer culture. And fair to say, I haven't seen Maddie this rattled for a while. Do you want to share what happened?
So we went into Walmart because you can stay for free in Walmart car parks, which we're so grateful for because it's an easy, affordable night. We don't have to pay anything. We can just rock in. There's shops right nearby. It's great.
Good deal.
But we went into Walmart for the first time, and I don't think Dan has ever been into a Walmart. Have you? No. I haven't ever been into one in the US, but I have been into one in Canada many years ago. And so it was a shock to us to see just how much ultra-processed foods and just rubbish basically fill the aisles. And it just made me really sad for how poor the food industry is, I guess, and how easy it is to slip into just eating non-nutritional food. And I can understand why a lot of people struggle with being overweight or obese. It's just literally so easy. We walked in and it's just packaged food for miles. There's so much choice. It's overwhelming. The colors, the advertising, just it's a lot. And it made me very grateful for what we have in Australia and the fresh produce that we do have, and the quality meats are top notch compared to here, really. Yeah. And that made me a bit homesick too, because I was missing my food, and it's difficult to eat well here, put it that way. Yeah. Unless you have access to Whole Foods or markets, which we don't really have on the go. And so we've had to be really diligent, I guess, with our choices. Yeah. To mitigate the ease of convenience.
Ease of convenience, yeah. Ease of convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two elements to it, and I think you touched on one of them, which was access, and that's an external component.
Yeah.
You may be in a part of the world we crave having Whole Foods in Australia if we could, but we don't necessarily, and Whole Foods does price at a premium, which makes it be affordable for the average person. Yeah. So then in the absence of having great access, depending where you are in the world, there is, I guess, an internal component, which can come down to you and how empowered you are with your health literacy or nutrition literacy, or just broader your education around this stuff. And I think that's something that
and I know that most people don't possess the health literacy that I probably do. Yeah. And so it's really disheartening to probably see how much the average person would just fall victim to, I'll just grab this stuff, and not really think about it. Yeah.
Where did you get your health literacy from?
I mean, it's...
What do you credit yours to? Yeah.
it's been my own personal journey with food, and getting diagnosed with celiac means I had to get really good at looking at labels. And at the same time, I've been quite, I guess, health conscious of what foods are actually nutritious. And then so being able to read food labels if you are having to eat packaged food is like so important.
Yeah.
And it's different here. It's different here to Australia, and it's more confusing.
What's different? Sorry, the labeling,
the food labeling is different here, and the standards that they have to abide by is not as strict as Australia. So having I can't eat any gluten, any wheat is sometimes difficult because they don't always disclose may contain, I've found, or like contains, and I have to actually search the ingredients. So yeah, come a long way with that.
Very good.
Yeah.
And for someone who is not going through celiac or didn't do a undergraduate in dietetics like my little sister did, what have you taken away that could help someone who's like, right, like I want to go to America. I'm not a food fanatic, but I do want to, I do want to stay on top of my food choices.
Sure.
And, we're just cranking gears. We're moving down our line to box office. Very good.
I mean, some basic principles are, one is just eat real food. So like real food is not food that comes in plastic.
Yeah.
Real food is food that has come from the ground, come from an animal, come from, nature.
Yeah.
Essentially. So think of all your vegetables, fruit, produce, like meat, seafood, eggs, dairy, all the good things, all the whole foods. And then if you are having to eat packaged food, ideally less than 5 ingredients.
Yeah.
And ideally the first ingredient is not sugar. Yes. First or second.
Good.
It's often the second.
Yeah. Is that because they're listed in order of proportion?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know this for years. I honestly, that's why I think like even I'd like to think I was clued on and whatnot.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like, it's alphabetical, it's random.
Well, I didn't know either until, I discovered that. Yeah. And like you just want to eat like, it's hard. Like so many things are covered in preservatives, but if you can, like, organic is best, but that's not always affordable. So it's all just about doing what you can. And like, if you eat, say, for example, oats every day, like we do, we really prioritize getting good quality oats because it's something we eat every single day. So it's the biggest lever that we can pull as opposed to like buying, I don't know, like an organic capsicum, which we eat like once a month,
one-off,
whereas we'll buy organic oats,
Love
and gluten-free oats,
focus on the ones that have a high frequency. Good one.
So that's my few little takeaways.
Beautiful. Try and avoid these shops if you can, and if you're someone who gets tempted by if you go to the supermarket, like maybe try to have a meal before you walk into the supermarket. That's something I've done a lot, so you avoid like impulse temptations based on like, I don't know, colors, branding, scents, all the chocolates that are there. Like when I'm full and when I'm satiated, you just don't come from that kind of hunger survival instinct that sometimes drives your decisions. I love having a game plan. I'm a bit of an organizer, so I love having to-do lists because that just keeps you focused. And in like, yes, I'm not saying that Australia's supermarkets don't have a lot of choices. They do have choices. Yeah. But it feels like it's 100 times by comparison. Like the aisles are twice as long. Yeah. The aisles are twice as high.
And you'll easily like see something and be like, oh, that's new and novelty.
That's new and novelty. That. And that's what advertising preys on. It preys on like, vulnerabilities in your psychology and advertisers, promoters. They know this for thousands of years. Yeah. And that's why
it's just a lot harder.
That's why it works.
So you got to be really.
So you got to realize that like the moment you walk in, you're already being attacked and, like literally like mentally attack for all vulnerabilities. And so I'm like, the more you can do to try and like thwart that off is like have a game plan, have a full stomach, know exactly what you're coming in for. And then take the extra effort to like read the ingredients, like Maddie said, with the awesome tips that she just shared. I think that's like so helpful. And look, I got this from a mentor, but he's like, you generally want to spend time around on the outside of the supermarket because that's where all the fresh produce is. You're going to find the yogurts, the creams, the veggies, the fresh fruits. And yes, I'm not saying you can't avoid going down the aisles for certain items or things like that, but that's a easy way to try and navigate the overwhelm. And also, we don't want to just call out and necessarily like slander Walmart necessarily.
No,
it's just it's the broader supersized culture of how things are sold here in America. Yeah. Like we're only looking at food as
we've been into a number of
different ones anyway. Yeah. So that was just an example. Please don't sue us, Walmart. Anyway, so that was our end, and yeah, we've just been. I think what Maddie does so well is she pre-plans meals, not only just for Burning Man as we've done, but I think when we either do meal kit deliveries ahead of time. Or we decide, okay, we want a couple of pieces of protein and then maybe a vegetarian plate this week. Maybe we want some fish or whatnot. It just reduces any overwhelm. So no matter where you're at in your food or nutrition journey, spending the time up front to make that plan for what you want is going to help you so much more further down the track.
So important.
So important, hey?
And you may not value nutrition like we do. So you could just take and leave this advice, but we personally know how important nutrition is.
Yeah.
Because everything that you put in your mouth has an effect.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
And it will affect your interstate, which will ultimately affect your outer state. So,
that's our reasoning why.
That's our motto.
Put an importance on it.
Yeah. And even to where you're listening to this, I was not this probably 4 or 5 years ago. I did not have this level of focus on my food. I could just throw in whatever and my really fast system would just chow through food and I'd maintain my physique. But the older that I get, and the more that I look at longer term health outcomes, you realize that a lot of small little decisions you make can add up over time, as simple as swapping the oil that you cook with, or all these little things I never thought about. And then I think together we've really been able to help dial in and work
It's been a slow journey. So we have slowly changed things. So
and give that the same to you. You don't have to flip things overnight and become an ottolenghi with your cooking whatsoever, but just small incremental changes to what you got in your pantry and what goes in your mouth. I think's the way to go. Love it. We got another little recap on the week, which was the byproduct of a very, very, very busy week. And just how I think we themed it as stress, the importance of well-being, and being able to reconnect and repair amongst madness is more important than sometimes just brute forcing our way to an outcome. We're a couple of very, very good operators, very good at getting things done. I think this week has been a testament to it. But I think a really challenging point or a crossroad that we came to was being if it comes at the cost of our connection and our well-being, is it worth navigating it this way? Because, it's there isn't only just one way to do things. And we've both fallen into patterns and habits of how we approach situations and how we deal with challenges or adversities in our life. And this whole trip has really been a really step up for us for how we do things together. And if we're not on the same team, then it can sometimes become counterproductive. Because one thing to think, Maddie's very efficient at doing things in her life on her own that she needs to, and I'm very efficient. But it's if I'm trying to do something and I feel our energy, our synchronicity, our alignment is not on, then it can actually slow me down, make me feel worse, make you feel worse, and also have make the outcome feel like we got the outcome, but we were bruised and bleeding in a million places in order to get there. And it's really hard to do that, sustainably. So earlier this week, we had basically this one day that was this accumulation of we need to have some things ordered online. We need to start our road trip from tomorrow onwards. We need to start buying as many things proactively ahead of Burning Man because, the more rural and remote we get with the towns we visit, the harder it is to have access to hardware stores or supermarkets that may have plentiful of all the things that we need for the van and for our survival and et cetera, et cetera. And I was going through this season where it was, recognizing 5 years since I'd lost my dad. And so that was kind of on Monday, the 19th of August. But that was the same day that was a bit of go time. And we needed one more day left in Calgary before we hit the road. So it was this really weird, unfortunate, bizarre timing where it's Maddie wanted to really beautifully gift me time and space to be able to reflect on my dad and just honor the day. Whereas while she was also very conscious of stepping up and doing a lot of the logistics and shopping lists and figuring out what to do. But it probably got to a point where realistically, it was too much for one person to do. While I was trying in this bit of a funk lower state, and Maddie was also just feeling a little bit unwell. And it just all kind of cascaded onto the Tuesday when we did start rolling. And then there was just this this underlying uneasiness from just chats and trying to recalibrate and go from where we were. And just on your side, Pooh, when you were really, really, you were so graceful by consciously trying to give me space on the Monday, for me to do my thing. But I know at the same time you were kind of like not battling, but like taking on board all of the other tasks that we had to do. How were you feeling in that period? And was there a point when you kind of went, oh, maybe I'm taking on too much? Or did that kind of hit you on Tuesday when like the rubber hit the road?
Oh, well, I mean, I woke up feeling unwell, like with a yucky sore throat. So that's never good.
Yeah.
And I think I just felt overwhelmed with how much was on my plate. And yeah, like I was shouldering the burden of a lot of the prep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which made me feel stressed. And then, yeah, I think when I am really stressed or overwhelmed, it's hard for us to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the Tuesday, we were, getting off to hit the road. Had like a number of stops we had to do, and top ups of, I think goods at like Safeway. I think we had a Canadian Tire, which is like the Australian Bunnings. At least we were in Canada anyway. And yeah, we had a moment where I think just a series of like interactions.
Yeah, it was nothing like, there was no big. It's not like I was like arguing at you or you were arguing at me or we were in some big fight. There was nothing. It's just like our connection is off because like we're dealing with our own internal meltdown basically because we don't ask for help.
Yeah.
And then that affects how we interact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because because we're not communicating that to the other person, because we want the other person to read our mind, because we're so goal orientated that we don't actually, the person. What do you think it was for you?
Probably a combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so, from a couple of just like, building and accumulating interactions. I'm not going to say we had an all out meltdown and rumble in the jungle in the car park, but we definitely had this like just this breaking
It's just
point.
like our energy's off and I can't stand it. And so I always like say what's going on. And then we just kind of have this, we're like, we don't really know moment. It's just tough.
And that's literally, I think that's literally the words that we both said.
Yeah.
It's like we know something's off and we can't pinpoint it or point to something.
Yeah.
But we just know this is like grading build up.
Yeah.
Where we lost each other somewhere along the way. And then we just kept veering off in these like, brood just go on the outcome scenarios. And we get the things done. Like, I think that's the most challenging aspect of it is we're still very good at getting what we need to do, but it's just like, my nervous system is like wired. I don't feel like, like I'm showing up and cooperating, giving you my best, like genuinely checking in. I feel like I'm trying to like make interactions short because I'm feeling like I'm getting snappiness, but I don't know if that's because my energy's off and yours is off. And so we're kind of in this like this crazy,
weird,
self-sustaining dance that just keeps circling and feeding itself until, Maddie, you speak up and say, what's up? And it just finally just like stops us just doing things, stops us just being an operator and actually finally invites us to like try and regulate ourselves and understand like, hey, like we're both charged. What do we need right now? Because I get that you're unwell or I get that, I'm feeling a bit behind the ball, but that was, what it took. And it was messy. But I think I really embraced that. I wanted to talk openly about that. Now that we are starting to see how it occurs and the kind of I guess I call it like the leading indicators and the patterns that lead into it, which is like, if someone's feeling unwell, that's probably number one. Number two is there's a lot going on and maybe there hasn't been like a distribution. And like, I think there actually was. I think it was just like, I was just MIA on Monday. I was just like a zombie state, which is no one's fault. Like, it's like, I'm not even blaming myself. Like, it was like, I was thinking about my dad and my family and I was feeling homesick about that. It was a time we needed to be functional, but I didn't really want to be. And like, I wanted to help Maddie, but I just knew that my brain was like working at half capacity. But I also knew that there was like 2 people's worth of work that needed to be done. And you probably felt like you had to do all of that on the Monday. So, I think preempting those like acute pinches is going to be a little bit of aircon. Yeah, boy. Yeah, it's going to be something that will like help us out because we're probably going to keep having those windows where things get a little bit acute and
travel brings them out.
You, right?
Yeah.
We want to feel like we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Even
so
if
we're working on it.
Yeah, working on it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And we managed to pull it together, feel understood, have both of us share what we were feeling from both sides. And I always know that like I literally feel calmer when I feel both of us are heard. And we both just shut up and let the other person speak. There's something really powerful about that. And we get out of that assumption mindset or that mind reading mindset that I know I observed with my parents growing up. And we go to like, right, like everything you've just said has helped refute all the crap and the narrative that's been going, the noise that's been going on in my mind. And that what I've been thinking is actually going on versus like, this is what's going on. And then just like really acknowledge that all the things that we think are urgent aren't that urgent sometimes.
Yeah.
And then just get on with it. And like lo and behold, we're here because bit by bit, we just work through things as they were, asked who was doing it, how do we support it, what's the next step, what's going to work better for us. And I made a really big call, I think, in the heat of it all. Maybe I didn't say it enough, but I was like, well-being matters more to me than anything.
Yeah.
If we get to Burning Man and we are frustrated, we're at wit's end with each other, we can't deal with each other, we're sick and unwell, we're underslept, we've got everything we needed, and it's like we've now got 10 days with the energy of 70,000 people around us. I was like, that's not what I wanted Burning Man to be. That's not the birthday week I was looking for.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that coupled with your kind of like intervention of like, what's up, was the course correction we just needed. And that's all it took. So I just want to honor you, Boo, and say thank you for that, because that definitely shifted the trajectory that we were kind of heading towards. And it was the one that we've been in a lot of times before. Yeah. So I think we're doing a little better. Are there any overall thoughts around the week ahead or perceptions that you currently have?
Oh, I know that there'll be highs and lows. Yeah. Yeah. And I know you can't really have the highs without the lows. So, I don't know what it's going to be like. I've never been. So I'm trying to keep some low expectations and just be open to it all. But know that there will be probably some tough moments. Yeah. And that's part of it. It's part of Burning Man. So, yeah.
I think we come here because I think there's something I've picked up from the ethos and from reading a lot of the forums that are chatting about it. Yeah. It's that like, it wouldn't be Burning Man without the difficulty, without the discomfort, the dust and the grittiness and the, chance of a freak storm or whatever. Yeah. Because I think there's something about that feeling that makes you feel alive. And so there's something that I'm really, I'm really focused on for this week is beyond this piece of content. I don't think I'm going to really recording anything, if much at all, over the next week, because I just want to focus on being like extremely present. Yeah. And being able to look back as like how many, just lived experiences and present moments I had throughout this entire week that like you said, Maddie, they can kind of hold private and hold in our heart or hold in this kind of bank or memory that doesn't necessarily need to be shared, because everyone says Burning Man is a completely different, unique experience for everyone. And we give and we get in different ways. And there's something we can probably speak to, I guess. When we
all right, I think we're coming into the will call, so we might need to wrap it up.
Beautiful. Yeah. Time for the tickets. Friends, we'll see you at the end of this one next week, whatever state we'll be in. Love you and leave you. Yep. Catch you then.
Bye.
Bye.